didn't see the. Oh, okay.
Everybody, welcome to another week of
live.
So Russia has decided that we're opening in prayer this week, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
That means that
And it feels like we're missing out on something. Pastor Catherine, you want to just open for us in prayer?
Sure. Father, we thank you for today. We thank you for the gift of life. We thank you for friendship, for fellowship. We thank you for this time of reflection, this time of rebirthing, this time of creativity, this time of coming together that you have given us, a time of renewal that you have given us. So we know that there's a lot going on, and we thank you for helping us to recenter in a way that we get to connect with each other. So we commit this evening to you. We commit this broadcast to you. We ask that you just guide us and help us to reach who we need to reach, and help us to impact the lives of everybody that comes online tonight and everybody that watches it. Help us to reconnect with each other in a meaningful way. So we just submit tonight to you and we say thank you. And we are going in this evening with expectancy of coming out better than we went in. So these mercies we ask in your name. Amen.
Amen.
Hi, everybody. How are you?
I'm good.
Guys, I haven't seen you this week.
I'm wearing Tasha fashions because we're supporting our local.
I am wearing right. It's called Right Style.
Part right, yeah. The foundation.
Yes.
A nice wearing night.
I didn't know that tonight was local designer night. I didn't get the memo.
But you look fabulous, darling.
Thank you. Thanks, Rush.
Blue girl spice.
So, nice, thank you for being here because we know that you're not feeling well. We really appreciate
what?
I said thank you for being here. You're not feeling well, so we appreciate that you showed up just well.
Thank you, guys. Well, Rochelle said I couldn't come on camera without wearing a little lipstick, even though I'm sick. So here I am, lipstick and all.
There's never an excuse to appear without lipstick. Never. Even in our casket, lipstick.
Right, exactly.
Oh my gosh.
So what are we talking about today? Who do we have on the show today, girls?
Right, exactly. So I'm excited about today because we're touching on so many exciting things. We're talking about our tribes with Garfine and Terri, who are like BFFs that everybody knows, you know, the exemplary BFFs worldwide, not just in Jamaica. We have Tamara Harding from Mara Maid. And of course, we have our NTB family with us to talk about some money moves that are critical at this time because, you know, in the beginning, we went through what are the things that we needed to do at the start of COVID, but now we're like in the middle, and so we need to figure out what's next. What's next for people that have stopped getting paychecks? What's next for people that, you know, have made arrangements with the bank that we have the grace period for 3 months and some of us for 6 months? What can we do in the meantime? And so we thought it was really important for us to talk to our NCB family to help guide us through this period. I mean, it's been almost so I'm excited about today.
Yeah. I think we have a great show for tonight. Catherine, you're a little pixelated.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's a little better now.
Okay.
You're so beautiful, so we don't want to pixelate.
Thank you. Did you see the post that NCB made this week about the Good Vibes Challenge?
No, tell us about it.
It was excellent.
Tell us about it, I love it.
So they had a 7-day Good Vibes Challenge, and the first day was to make a gratitude list. The second day was to eat a meal without watching TV or without using our phone. Right? The third day it was to take a walk outside. Here we go, Good Vibes Challenge. It was to take a walk outside. The fourth day was to catch up with an old friend. The fifth day was to read a book for 10 minutes. The sixth day was to drink only water on that day, no juices.
No juice. Wow.
And day 7 was to write down how we felt. And I thought it was amazing because it touched on so many different areas of our lives in such a simple way. And at the end of it, we should have all come out feeling good. So I want to challenge the Emerge team and the Emergers this week to do the Good Vibes Challenge next week and tell us, leave a comment on our page or comment on NTB's page and tell us how you felt at the end of that week's challenge.
Yeah. And I thought it was such a simple challenge, and it's some simple things like eating a meal without watching TV or being on your phone. And you can't take it for granted now that you just eat a meal and you're doing something else.
About ready to emerge.
No, now it's like
guys, I'm trying to get our followers on our Instagram to come over to YouTube. I'm so sorry. I thought I was muted.
How rude.
Ignore me.
We muted her. Rashi, are we ready to talk to Tamara?
Oh, wonderful. Yeah, I'm very excited about talking to Tamara. Tamara is joining us all the way from Trelawney. So can we... Hi, Mara Maid.
With no internet. And you know why? Because it rained today.
Hi.
We haven't had rain in Trelawney in months. The poor river is dry. Monterey is dry. It's a sin. So rain,
it is
no internet.
When the tourists come back, because
exactly. Yeah.
I'm so glad you could join us today on our Detour Essentials. You know, I think I'm bringing all the people that I'm fans of, because, you know, I've been a big fan from a long time ago. I mean, the art that you create with abstract pieces of wood is absolutely amazing. But what a lot of people don't know, Tamara is a whole bunch of things. So Tamara is mother extraordinaire to 2 beautiful daughters, wife. How long have you been married? Like 706 years?
Just 24.
How long have you guys been married?
24.
Same thing. So she has been married for 24 years. You're wondering how old she was when she got married? 4. So you got that right. She got married very young, and she's still super fabulous. And she is a creative genius, but not just in the art that she creates with the wood, but with so many different things. One of the things today is that as we speak with her, she can be very self-deprecating because she's such a humble person and very humble with this amazing talent and skill that she has. But we're hoping to pull some of it out of her today because she's such an inspiration, and a lot of persons look at the things that she does, and it's just important for you to be able to share your craft with others, but your story also, because so many people their lives can shift just by your story. So Tamara, one of the businesses that I know you had was a business called Seven?
Agency
what was the
27.
advertising company called?
Agency 27.
Agency 27.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, which was one of the early entries into social media. So before we didn't know exactly what social media was about and all of social media advertising, Agency 27 actually was one of the first companies that entered into that market. So Tamara, I actually want to start there. What was that like? Because you've tended to be an early mover into areas that people haven't dabbled in before. And I know you worked with your husband in that company. Can you tell us a little bit about that journey?
Well, you know, it was really his business that he started, and he immediately got the Heineken Green Synergy account. And that was a $75 million project. And I had to basically jump ship. I had a small business that I had started maybe a year prior where I was renovating homes. And, you know, for every dollar I was making, the agency was making 1,000. And I was like, all right, I'm going to jump ship and come and help you. And our second client that we landed was Lime, where I met you, because you were legal counsel there. And yeah, and then right off the bat, we formed a social media arm of the agency. We were a boutique mom and pop agency. We were also one of the first to not have a brick and mortar. We operated our business basically virtually. We never had an office building that we, called home. So that was a bit challenging for our clients to kind of wrap their head around. Now it's come full circle with this corona.
Yes.
But and then so we were one of the first agencies to offer a full social media package. And I always bragged about knowing Lime at the time, now Flow, inside out more than any employee of Lime, because I had to know the inner workings of every single department in Lime, every single department. Because when somebody sends out a tweet, who you think was responding? When there was Hurricane Sandy and there was the internet was down. Let's not tell anybody this, but I was using a Digicel dongle to work on Lime's internet.
Gotta do what you
Right?
gotta do.
Gotta do what I gotta do. So yeah, so that was very interesting, an interesting time. And then Appleton was another one of our clients, and I really got to flex my creative muscle with Appleton. They gave me a lot of leeway. I did a lot of their carnival executions for them, and that was a ton of fun. In fact, so much so that they hired me separate as a project manager to run one of their promotions for them. So it was fun. It was a good time. Yeah.
And the thing about it is that a lot of people see where you are at now, but they don't recognize that it's a journey. So it's been part of your journey. This is another destination on your journey. So after Agency 27, I know that you always did amazing things with wood. And I remember seeing some of your early tools, and I was like, whoa, this pretty girl and our tools, that is very nice. I wouldn't go near them. How did you end up going into this as a business and believing in this as a business?
So my journey really started when I was in my early 30s, and my kids were still fairly young. And I started to question really what my purpose was here in this lifetime. And I felt that there was a missing piece to my life. And I felt like as more and more passed, that I was missing that piece of the puzzle, and I was not figuring out who I was really meant to be here. Mm-hmm. And as more and more time passed and I got older, my anxiety would really start to flare up, because I just felt I was not living I wasn't showing up for myself. And and then so when I turned 40, approaching 40, I said to Zachary, I was like, it's now or never. If I don't figure this out, it's not gonna happen. And mm-hmm. So 40 was kind of my deadline. And I said to him, he had already gotten into the whole financial world. So he had left me to run the agency, and then he went over into that whole, realm that he's in now. And I said to him, if I don't shut this agency down and find my purpose, it's not going to happen. And luckily he agreed. And mm-hmm. So we wrote all our clients, gave them notice. I had not done anything with wood other than had a few ideas. Like I cut down my pui tree in my house, and there were some limbs there, and I sliced them up. RADA, I have friends at RADA, they came with their chainsaw, they cut them up for me, and I stuck them on the wall. And I did some little things like that, but I never owned anything. I never did anything with my hands when it came to wood. And so I knew that when I shut the agency down, now I've done a lot of work on myself. Mm-hmm. That's a whole nother segment, right? Okay, so moving through all of that really fast, I was asked if there was one thing I could do for the rest of my life and feel happy and alive every day, mm-hmm. what would it be? And I said, hands down, creating and designing. And the person that was speaking to me said, that's what you're going to do. Your whole aura changed, your energy changed. That's definitely your purpose. And I said, okay, great. What the hell am I designing and creating? Like rockstone jewelry? Like, I have no idea. And he said to me, just be patient, be still, ask, and it will come to you. And then, so the story goes that in November, so this was summer. In November, I turned 40. I still had no concept of what I was doing. Agency was now shut down. Money was now running out. And I'm like, what is this all about? Have I made the wrong decision? And my aunt was having a show at Afia. She runs the Afia yoga studio, and she was having a wellness show. And she said, why don't you make some Christmas decorations and bring them and sell them there? And it's something I always did for my family. I'd make Christmas decorations and give them as gifts. So I said, okay, sure, let me get my juices flowing. So got a bunch of decorations, made them, took them to the show. None of them sold, like not one. And it was really in truth, it's a wellness. Nobody's coming there to Christmas shop, right? Yeah. So that was a lesson.
Didn't give up. You didn't give up.
I didn't give up. I was like, I have all of this Christmas stuff. What am I going to do? There's so much money invested in all of these Christmas balls and stuff. And I went on Pinterest, and there were all of these really cool decorations with wood. And at the time in my backyard, I had a plum tree that had lost all its leaves. And I was like, I have all of these cool pieces. Borrowed a saw and like literally sawed them off with my hand, borrowed a drill, and then made all of these wooden Christmas decorations. And every single one of them sold. And if I could have made 2,000, I could have sold the 2,000. And that's how I had my aha moment that my medium was going to be wood.
Wood. But it started with accepting what your purpose journey was, which was creativity. Right. And then you accepted a challenge. You never gave up. Right. And you found a way to kind of just twist it up a little bit. And aha.
Well, and then, so a big part of it, and I tell people is when they feel like they're in my shoes 5 years ago, where they know they have a purpose, they're not quite sure what it is. And I'll say to them, you have to be still. You have to ask, what is my purpose? You have to keep asking, what is my purpose? And but the main key ingredient is seeing when the signs come your way. So when I had that aha moment, I literally saw the angels on my shoulders like fall over, and like, finally this dense chick has figured it out, because we've been sending her signs for so long. And when I look back, and I'm like, oh wow, I collected this big massive tree trunk 5 years ago. I made this 10 years, and it's just like there were so many signs along the way. I just wasn't seeing them. And so I took the money from the Christmas decorations, and I bought my first chainsaw, circular saw. Why? Because it just looked cool. And jigsaw. Knew nothing about them. I had to YouTube how to start the chainsaw. Like, when I tell you, I knew nothing. I never went to a woodworking class in college. I never had an uncle who was a carpenter. Nothing. Zero. So if I can do it, anybody can do it.
So, Tamara, because as you're talking, there are a couple of things that you keep repeating. This asking about your purpose, and that you need to actually be still to hear what your purpose is. And on this journey, because you're going to have many different destinations on the journey, because life is a journey, but it's also recognizing the signs, because in asking over the years about our purpose, so many signs have been there, but we can't beat ourselves up. And, as some people are approaching 40, I've done the journey myself, but don't tell anybody. Sometimes we get to these ages and we think that, okay, I'm 40 now, life done. I have done nothing. But you actually completely pivoted your life at that time and took a chance on yourself.
Yeah.
Were you scared? Were you scared?
You know what? I wasn't scared. I was more, I would say I was more driven than I was scared, because I was so determined to figure out what I was meant to do in this world, because I had such a burning sensation that I was missing a huge component. And people ask me, do you regret having figured that out so late in life? And I say to them, well,
No.
that's all relative, because I may have another 40 years of this. I could do this till I'm 80. And so it's, I had to, as you said earlier in the show, I had to go through the process and do the work on myself, go through. My kids were still young. I didn't figure this out until both my kids had left. So I'm in a position where I was an empty nester at the time. And
Yes.
so it gave me, again, that space that I needed. I remember when my cousin Heidi was at Lyme with you, and she was also feeling that sense of not getting her purpose. And I said to her, Heidi, you've got to leave Lyme. Like, you can't be there and figure it out, because there's too much energy that's going to subtract from you being clear. And it's a tough thing for people to hear, because they're like, but I have to have a job. I remember in one of my sessions that I did, it's called an NLP, Neuro Linguistic Programming. I told you, I've been through it all.
I'm familiar with it.
Yeah, well, so in that, we talked about my creativity and me wanting to design and stuff. And I said, there's no way I can do this until my husband becomes successful enough to support us, because we've always been a 2-income family. I said, I can't do this until my husband becomes successful enough that I can take the time off to figure myself out. And he looked at me and he said, that will never happen. You can't wait for somebody else to figure out what they're doing in their life for you to figure out what you're doing in your life. And that's a big one for women, especially, because we always put everybody in front of us. Oh, I have to park my dreams off to the side because I have to raise my kids and I have to look after my husband. And the truth is, it's your life. You have to show up for yourself every day in order to be a good mom and to be a good wife.
That is so, so amazing. And I see that you are getting a lot of love from our viewers. Michael Rosen says, hi, good vibe. And people are really linking in. I see Janice Allen here saying, I'm late, but already loving this. Jan says, word. So when all you can say is word. So, Tamara, you have really given us some snippets here of things. I think we have to bring you back to, because you touched on such an important point about purpose too, that as we go along with our life's purpose, we almost have to be dogged in our approach with asking about it and going after it. Because a lot of times what we do is we say we didn't because we're waiting on our husband or for the children to grow up. We're always for the bigger house. We're always waiting on something else. And today we're actually talking to NCB about things that, choices you have to make when you lose your job. And in fact, some persons who may have lost their job during this COVID, this really could be their opportunity to step into their purpose.
1,000%.
Yeah. And you did it knowing that you were going to now be in more of a single income home while you figured out which journey you were going on. And I have to applaud you for that bravery, because sometimes we're not brave enough to take a chance on ourselves, and we're not brave enough to show up for our own lives. So, Tamara, you're doing some amazing work. I think, I don't know if people can see the bed behind you, and I don't mean to show people your bed, but girl! Girl!
Can you see? I don't know which way to go.
Oh my God. So Tamara, one of the things that you've been doing, because you always have an initiative to help people. You always have an email or WhatsApp going around that you're using your talent to give back. Can you tell us a little bit about your latest endeavor with the some people call them cheese boards. I like to call them charcuterie boards. But the boards that you're doing, can you tell us a little bit about that?
Sure. So, with this whole Corona thing, I employ a lot of my guys, my team, as I like to call them. They come from different areas. I have some that come from, Nannyville, other areas in Kingston. I have some that come from Trelawney. And this whole Corona thing, I saw it coming from the minute I heard it crossed over into another country in China. And I sat my team down and I said, guys, this is coming. Our lives are going to change. And you need to start saving up food. Like when you get your pay, get some food, put it aside. Things are going to change. I don't know why I had that insight. This is from like mid-January, right? Long before. Intuitively, I just knew. And so I had started to put all the steps in place. And one of the things that, that I saw happen almost immediately as the hotels shut down were all of the farmers suffering. And remember, I'm in Trelawney, so I have a lot of farmers around me. And I have a lot of links to the farmers in St. Elizabeth as well. And, I could see the immediate impact that it had on them. And I'm like, what role can I possibly play in bridging this gap? Now, I honestly had the intention to do a lot more, but I'll get to that in a second. And so, I said, what can I do that people can afford to buy that's small? And I'm like, I could do because I cheese boards and charcuterie boards are just people always ask for them. And I'm like, that's what it's going to be. And I call them earth-fed boards. That's my newest name for them, or earth boards. And so, and then I just said, everybody that buys one, I'm just going to donate all the proceeds to the farmers, buy that produce, and then find a way to get it to the people that need it. And so that's how it kind of all evolved. And as I said, I wish I could do more, but unknown to 99% of the people out there, when I posted that message, at the same time, I was relocating my workshop to a bigger space. So I've had so much on my plate, but I was so compelled to do that, knowing that my time was going to be very tight. But I said, I have to do it, and I just have to figure out a way. But I wish there was more I could do. But I am working with a couple agencies here on the North Coast because, we always tend to give Kingston a lot of light. We shine a lot of light on the communities around Kingston and St. Andrew and St. Catherine. But there's a lot going on the North Coast, and most of the hotel workers come from the North Coast. And that's the sector that's been biggest hit.
Yeah.
So I'm working with an
passion though, because you are also using the very purpose that you have and your talent, not just to do stuff for you, for your own pockets, but also you see a need and you use what you have, your talent, to satisfy that need. And we really have to thank you. And you said something that you couldn't do everything. And I think sometimes we are so worried about a big thing. It has to have this big thing that we don't do anything. And sometimes you just need to help one person.
It's true.
Yeah.
Yes.
And question here, where can we get the boards?
So I've done 2 sets already, and both sets have sold out. So I'm now in the process of doing my 3rd set. In the midst of all my move, and as the universe would have it, this has also been the busiest time for me since Christmas. I guess people are home and want stuff.
Yeah,
so I know it's really interesting, very interesting. So I've had to
before you go on, Nicholas McDavid say, big up to my top designer. You're better than Gepetto. When it comes to working, it's Geppetto, don't Geppetto. When it comes to working with wood, you would have been Pinocchio's mommy.
Nick Mack he needs to have his own comedy show. I keep telling him that.
But Tamara, one of the things that I also want to ask you about before we wrap up is you have a very strong family connection, and we're going to be talking about tribes later on in the show. And as you pursued your purpose, it required a bit of support from your tribe.
Absolutely.
Can you tell us a little bit about that?
Well, when you're married to somebody for 24 years, there's a reason why, right? And a big part of my success is having an awesome husband. And he has played a very supportive role in my life. He's been my heir. He's the one who we sat down. We actually went up into the hills for 2 days and wrote out my whole entire business plan. I mean, I fought him, and it was messy. But at the end of the day, I lean on him for that. And he's amazing when it comes to those things. And, even though it was a creative endeavor, every single move I made was strategic and was part of the business plan, which is why I think the business became successful so fast. It was not by buck-ups. It was, we engineered it that way. We sat down, and I could not have done it without him and his support. My kids are my two biggest fans for sure. So it's, and my family, I mean, my brother, my sister-in-law, they're just so amazing. My sister-in-law is always promoting my stuff for me. And I know my mom, my aunt, who was just on, it's been amazing, and I don't want it to deter people who don't necessarily have a husband or a support system.
Yeah, but that's your support system.
It's helpful, and it was my support system. But if you don't have one, find a tribe. If there's no tribe, you can do it. Look at what's happened with Corona. Look how we've been able to connect to so many people from all around the world. Oh, that's another thing. Because I was not trained, I ended up my biggest learning was through Instagram. I would follow accounts and I would befriend them, and they would help me with any question I had. My biggest mentor was a man from Turkey who has Contemporary EcoWoods Instagram account, thousands and thousands of followers. And he just took a liking to me, and any question I had, he answered it. So there's a way to get your support. It does not have to be a direct connection to your family or somebody physical. There's always a way.
Yeah.
I always tell people there's always a solution. There's always a way.
You have that tribe, that's your inner tribe. But one of the things we've always said to people and to our emergers is that you can build a tribe. And even persons who are your inspirations and your mentors, sometimes you never have to meet them. You can be following them on Instagram, following their lives, following what they have done and doing it your own way. Yes. So tomorrow, we've run out of time. Submission, we could have chatted for the whole day. I just want to find out if there's any last words that you want to leave with our audience. I just want to big up. I see somebody here from Montego Bay. Montego Bay is in the house.
My sister parish.
I saw somebody from Trelawney. So Jody Lynn here from Montego Bay. So we want to big up people from Bay. So Tamara, yes. You have been so inspirational, and I mean, I love you even more. Just what you want to leave our audience with tonight.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. There's another initiative I'm going to be launching with TEF, but that's a little bit later down when we come out of this lockdown. So we can talk about that another time. Okay. When it starts to unfold. Yeah.
When we have our live emerge, we have to bring
Or we have to
Yes. So that would be so cool.
What is it, Tamara? It's Mara Made at Mara Made on Instagram.
Yeah.
Yeah. So thank you and stay safe.
Thank you guys. Thank you so much.
This weekend.
Thank you, Tamara. I'm enjoying my cheese boards. My
mother called me last night at 11 o'clock to threaten me and tell me that she bought her 5 boards and I am to make sure that I collect them.
Yes, all 3 of you. Thank you very much for supporting me and the initiative. I appreciate it. And thank you for having me on.
Okay.
Thanks,
all right. Bye.
Bye.
That was
Wow.
awesome.
Yeah.
I
There.
remember Agency 27.
Yes.
We actually got quite a few projects through them, through Zachary and Tamara. So that was awesome.
Yeah, I actually did Pepsi when I was
Yeah.
at Pepsi. We did a carnival project together. So the build out at Mass Camp that has the cup with the thing pouring there. Tammy and I worked on that together.
We did Carnival too. We did it with Appleton Estate, but with Appleton Special, but through Agency 27. So that was really awesome. They gave
Yeah.
6
everybody a
degrees
award.
of separation.
So I
Yeah.
remember
What I said, we got to show up for our life. We got to show up, guys.
absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was profound.
So we're gonna talk about the fact that so many of us have lost our jobs, me included, because of COVID, and how many of us have been able to pivot out of it, and what we need to do with our money now that we're in this position. You know, we've gotten to a place where it's been a month, almost 2 months. So people have transitioned. Some people have pay cuts. Their salary has been cut by 50 to 70%. Some people have no job. So what's next? You know, is it the end of the world? Or how do we move through it?
Yeah.
So we definitely are going to welcome Paige Golding and Kimberly Hosang from NCB.
Hi,
to
ladies.
join us for our
Hi,
conversation.
ladies.
Hi, ladies. Welcome.
Thanks for having us. It's good to be here.
Good evening. Thanks for having us.
So a lot of us, for a lot of us, job security has been something that we've depended on. And now we found ourselves in a position where we have either lost our jobs or our salaries have been significantly cut, whether 50% or 70%. And in our last show, we talked about some of the things that NCB has put in place and other banks have put in place in terms of allowances for 3 months, some for 6 months, depending on the type of loan that you have or whatever. So what do we do now? You know, if we found ourselves, it's been almost 2 months, we're at home. Do we take advantage of the grace periods for mortgages and use the money for something else? Do we save it? Do we invest it? Do we just put it down and hope that we don't need to use it? What are some of the things that we need to do now, coming into our going into the third month of COVID?
I think one of the most important things that people have to do now is set a plan. So this isn't the time to just jump or make impulsive decisions. It's easy with money. I don't know about anybody else, but it's so easy. Sometimes you'll have money in your wallet, and by the end of the week, you're kind of just like, why is my wallet empty? Yeah. In your head, you're just like, I have no idea where this money went. Like, I know I had money in my wallet when I started, so where did it go? And most times, if you look at it, the reason why we can't track where our money went is because we didn't plan. We didn't think about it ahead of time, and so we do what we call impulsive buying or spending. And the first thing that we have to do in times like this is to curb that. It's so important that we realize that there are certain things that are wants and certain things that are needs. And we have to be able to determine and differentiate between the two to be able to say, this is a want, not a need. And then once we get into that, I know that one of the major things that persons should be looking to tap into is that emergency fund that we should have set up. It's so important that before we had been putting aside money from our job. And I know some persons clients would say to me, do I touch this money on my investment? Do I do this? I mean, do I really want to touch this? And it's kind of just like, now is the time. That's why you put it aside. Now is the time to touch those emergency funds, because we are in a case where we're in an emergency.
Right. So we have emergency funds from our stocks that we can pull. And Kim, what about our insurance? For those of us that have been saving or investing in our insurance, what are some of the things that we can do now with our insurance policies?
All right, so touching a little bit on the investment aspect, as Paige was mentioning, I trust you would have known of Omni. Omni is a household name and has been around since 1989.
And for those of us that don't know what Omni is, you need to tell us.
It's a long-term savings and investment plan. It's a package that comes with both investment and life insurance. And it is saving towards any long-term goal. And it's have you remember saving for rainy day?
Yes.
As we're in such an environment like this, that is where Omni will become effective. Saving for that long-term goal that you have, or in the event of something like this which has been unexpected. So you have been setting aside funds each month and consistently doing it. Now you can tap into those resources that you have been saving over the long term, and you'll find that it will be most useful, beneficial to helping you during this difficult time.
So if people want to tap into that, they just need to call their insurance companies and say what to them? I want back my money. What are we actually able to access?
All right. As Paige had mentioned, have a plan. Do it strategically. Yes, you may have accumulated all of these funds over the time. You still have to be careful that you don't just go in and simply wipe off everything that you have saved, right? So please carefully assess it before you actually do it. We have made it easier for persons who have already signed what we call an indemnity form to actually email us at ncbic@jncb.com. They can send in their withdrawal request once they have signed the indemnity form. Outside of that, they would have to visit the branch to complete the standard surrender form. So we have made it easier for them. But I just want to emphasize, as I'd mentioned before, to ensure that when you're considering withdrawing from your plan, to ensure that you're doing so with wisdom, so you're not wiping off your investment.
Right. What are some of the questions that or challenges that your clients have been coming into NCB and saying these are the challenges that I'm having?
I'll jump in there. I know that right now a lot of persons we're in what we call a very volatile market. And so people are seeing, for a number of years, we've been seeing where, especially for instance, on the stock market, you've been seeing people have been getting gains. And we're now at a time where people are seeing a drop and people are freaking out, basically. They're just like, what is happening? And understandably so, because the truth is that when you take your money and you put it into an investment and you've been seeing rewards, to now see something totally opposite, something unprecedented, and in such a small space of time, it's going to cause fear. And the thing is, it's important to not act in that fear. A part of investing is that you're going to, at some point, see a decrease. Now is actually a good time that if you can afford to actually look into some investments that are now depreciating, but that will gain back once the economy normalizes. Once we know that there's certain things back in place, we're gonna see where you have an increase in your gains. And so now is actually a great time if you can afford. And I'm stressing that because it's so important that we don't take grocery money and put it into stocks right now. That's not the best option for you. We're talking about where you have access to excess funds. Maybe you have something that you had put down for investment 2 months from now, but you can take it out now. So it's important to look at your options and say, you know what, how can I earn in the long run? Now, when it comes on, I know that people are saying, you know, I've lost my job, so I can't afford to invest right now. And that's okay. That's okay. I think sometimes we put a lot of pressure on ourselves to think, man, but the stock prices don't, I need to go and buy it. No, and it doesn't work. If you don't have money to put food on your table, you can't be putting money into an investment right now. That's why I say we'll have to have a plan. But it is a good time if you're able to, or if you have something that you can put into investing, it is a good time to wisely invest after speaking with a wealth advisor about it.
What are some of the other, what's some of the other advice that you would give people now that actually have lost their jobs? That, you know, don't know where the next paycheck is actually coming from.
Okay. All right. Paige, you want to go ahead?
Some of the things that NCB is offering now, Kathy, you spoke to about whether or not we should take advantage of the payment holidays. now is a good time to take advantage of those. It's a good time to say, even if you didn't initially do it, but to say, I need this contact, whether it be that you are a small business owner or a personal person, you just really and truly want to make sure that you are taking advantage of what is available. And it's not just a matter of speaking about waiving. If you're a small business owner, or if you had something on the side, you had a loan, you can talk with someone about, is there any interest rate options? What can I do? Is there an option for me to increase my credit card limit? It's something that you can look into. It's important that we don't just say, I don't qualify for that, and we sit down and we don't try. Reach out, see what the options are, because there are options, especially with NTB. We are offering some options. There have been waiving of fees. I know that the interest payments on credit cards, they have some waves for that as well. So it's look into what you can get, and now is the time to tap in, so that any excess money you have, you can actually put it aside for when the payment holiday may be up.
Thanks, Paige. And I'd like to also add, Kathy, for our creditors, our persons who have borrowed from us via loans or credit cards, just to remind them, in case during this difficult time they did not remember, that for persons who had added the creditor life feature to secured loans, and it's also a part of the unsecured loans as well. And in specifically for loss of jobs, that there's benefits that they can actually avail of. So as it relates to loans, they can get 6 months without having to make any loan payment. The insurance would kick in for that. And for credit cards, they can get up to 3 times to clear off the balance, but it's subject up to a maximum of.
So how I never hear about this creditor life thing before. Can you please tell me some more about it? Because I don't think I have that. What is creditor life, and at what point would it have been offered to us?
Okay, so you would have had that discussion when you did the loan in the initial process. You'd have had that discussion because it would have affected your loan payment. It would have been incorporated in your loan payment. So just in case persons
like insurance or credit.
Right. So unsecured loans, and it's even applicable for loans that are secured as well.
Right.
So it's quite effective, especially when we look at this in terms of loss of job. It can cover up to 6 months. So I encourage persons who maybe consumed with what is happening and have somehow forgotten that they had applied for creditor life on their loans and also on their credit cards. Please reach out to us.
Wow, thank you, ladies. This has been like so informative, and I have one more question for you. Is there a light at the end of the tunnel?
Yes. I cannot stress enough. Yes, we will come out of this stronger as a people. And I actually love what Tamara said. She took something that I was going to say about this, that now is the time to tap. One of the best resources you can tap into now is you. Now is the time to kind of recognize what else can I do. And I think that this pandemic is going to change the way we do finances in general. It's going to change how we approach it. I guarantee you're going to have more people setting up an emergency fund. I guarantee you're going to have more people starting a saving or college fund for their child using an Omni Educator. I guarantee you're going to have people purchasing stocks for long term, not just for a short flick. We have to change how we're going to approach things. But if we change that, we're going to come out better, stronger, and more financially stable than ever.
Yes, I agree.
Thank you, ladies. Thank you so much for joining us tonight. And
Thank you for having us.
Thank you for having us.
So now we have two very exciting individuals that are coming to join us. And I'm super excited to have them because they're my friends. You guys are muted.
Hi.
Hey.
So we're talking about tribes, and we wanted to figure out who had a strong relationship and were experts of the tribe, and you two came to everybody's mind.
Wow. Really?
I'm irresistible and I can't get rid of Garfield, so it works out.
That's the person who stalked me. Anyway.
When we
We're
think
not
about
going to do
tribe, a lot of us think that we need to have a bundle of people around us, and they don't realize that sometimes it could be just that one person that keeps us sane and grounded. And so we have a challenge for you guys tonight. We want you to introduce each other.
After you,
Garfield. Terri, go first. Ladies before gentlemen.
You always
Age before beauty.
Age before beauty.
Age before. Remember, you're older than me, so go on.
Yep.
Age.
Uh-oh.
I thought we were talking about age, meaning the younger person would go before the older.
No.
Wow, we've never had to do this. Garfield Grandison, communicator, kid at heart, always professional, kind-hearted, very considerate, always thinking about his tribe and how he can be more meaningful and how he can build more meaningful relationships. Dresses very well, dresses very sharp, is all about the image, and is misunderstood most of the time.
Yeah.
Yes, man. That's why you should. That is why you should go first.
I should go first. But Terri-Karelle, an all-rounder, you're a Jamaican girl. Everybody loves her. What you see is what you get. When she speaks with conviction. She speaks with humanity. She speaks with love. She speaks with reverence. She speaks with respect. A no-nonsense kind of girl, but still very full. Loved by all. And I can also say is can I stop? You're a Jamaican girl. I mean,
well, I was just about to say, well, this year's Miss Jamaica World, mercy.
You know, I'm attending to the chat now, but yeah.
You guys were talking about who found who first.
Terri found me. Terri found me. Terri stalked me. When I was at the Gleaner.
You know, the thing about Garfield, one of his biggest attributes is that he knows how to create very good relationships. This is really what's going on. So what happened is that Garfield was working at the Gleaner, and I think at the time I was the pageant director at Spartan for Miss Jamaica World pageant. And you know, he would be very, hi, you know, how you doing? I think we met prior to working with each other, don't you, G?
Yeah.
So this is what he does. He comes in and he swoons you with his little brown eyes, you know. And, you know, hi, nice to meet you. And, you know, let us keep in touch. You know, that he's a relationship builder. There's one thing I take away from our relationship is really how to manage and care for your relationships. So when we started looking for, we needed a public relations officer at the time. And I told Mr. Mickey Horton James that we shouldn't really skim on it. We shouldn't try to do this in-house anymore. We really should look outward to persons who are creative and they're really about the industry. And I suggested Garfield. He came in and it just gelled. So at first it was just nice vibe, we work late, we try to figure out, you know, what we're going to do for the pageant, but then it literally blossomed into, yo, I have your back and you have mine.
Correct.
And
he said something like I was his favorite Miss Jamaica World, and that's actually the linchpin, you see? That's what he did.
But it's true though. It's true. I remember watching in 2005 when she won. I said a black girl there with that afro there and them hips. I remember. And it just the first time I saw her when she walked into her room, I was just like, oh, that's her, that's her. Never know that 10 years or a couple years down the line, that would have been my best friend and my tribe, my go-to person. But yeah, here we are.
What do you think is the
So tell me something. Sometimes when we talk about tribes and we say things like, yeah, it's my ride or die, it's my party, I'ma have them back. What does that really mean for you guys? When you say I have her back, Garfield, Terry, when you say I have him back, what does that mean?
If you cut her, I bleed. That's what it means. Because I am an emotional type of person when I have my people that are closest to me. So if anything affects them, it affects me 2 times as much. It is heightened. And I say that unapologetically. And Terry's one of those persons. Anybody were to say, first of all, nobody can say anything about Terry to me. Them know that. Because as we always, I will fight for her. I'm not a fighter, but push come to shove, I tell you, I will fight for her because of how my love is strong and because of the mutual respect and admiration that I have for her in terms of what she has done for me and what I have just seen her do for others. I don't take it lightly. When I can, I think yesterday I went to drop off her birthday gift, which is, she never celebrated birthday, but we know how it go. And you can have somebody look at you and say, I know you're working hard, you're doing all these things, and are you okay? She's like, but first of all, can you afford to give me a birthday present right now? Like, do you need any top up? Like, she's looking out for me to say, she's like, you can call me if anything go wrong. You don't have many people who put aside their by the way, remember, she's a host. She's affected by this more than I am. But she's looking at me and asking me if I'm okay. That's the type of person
that's
my ride or die. I'll die for. Come on. I'm gonna like pain.
That's true. Thanks, G. For me, thanks, G. No, for me, I think most persons, when they talk about, first of all, I think people use the term friend and friendship very loosely. I think people need to understand how to categorize the persons who are a part of their tribe. And that means that you might have your close friends who are your inner circle. You have your colleagues, you have your associates, and you have your acquaintances. And I don't have a problem saying, this is my associate, you're not a part of my inner circle. So I think people need to be very aware of who these people are and what's the role that they play. Because sometimes somebody assumes somebody is a friend and the other person isn't. Secondly, I think people are conditional when it comes to their friendships. Usually when everything good, it's hype, we can go out, we can have a drink, we can par. Those are not your friends. Those are just social. Those are like your social people who you just get together with. Friendship really comes down to it being unconditional. We're talking about job loss, problems in relationships. Every aspect of your life that is affected. As a friend, what you are saying is, regardless of what happens, despite what happens, you can count on me. So Garfield knows that I am his right hand. So I am the watchdog. That's how he describes me. So anytime he may need a help with a decision or what, I am going to be that person to say, no, whatever. And I think being a real friend is telling people what they need to hear and not necessarily what they want to hear. That's part of really being a friend, especially when that person needs you to step up and fill gaps in for them.
Yeah. What do you think is the foundation of a good friendship? Like, what are the qualities that we need to have to know that, this person is a friend?
For me, I think it's trust and respect. Trust, respect, honesty, and communication. That is it for me. I don't think if you don't have any of those things in the mix, then it's not gonna work. I think one of the things what I admire about Terri, and she just said it a while ago, she's never the one to tell me, oh yeah man, go and do it simply because I want to do it. We're gonna sit down, whether it is over she goes drink coffee. Well, it's either sushi or Pepsi. She drinks Pepsi. But we sit down and she gives me her honest opinion, her honest feedback. And I think that is something that I find very, very invaluable, because I've had a lot of friends before and not many of them I can put in that category. Terri also listens very well, and that I think is very important to me. because then she's able to and sometimes remind me of things that I said before that I didn't remember, or things that are manifesting in my life. And she said, remember, you had said you wanted this and blah, blah, blah. So now that you have it, don't be complain about it, don't be ungrateful. So she is an active listener and she communicates well. So those, I think, are very important. And again, I'm going to reiterate mutual trust and respect.
I was gonna say, as definitely, thanks by the way, G. I was gonna say respect. I think a lot of persons tend to feel like the closer you get to somebody, it means the more trashy, you can treat them. People feel like the more familiar they get with you is the more they can disregard you and not consider your feelings, because she know me, man, and we come from far. So, and for us, it's the absolute opposite. It's we respect each other so much, we love each other so much that we are going to give even more. But since G touched respect, I'm going to say selflessness. I think some people like to take in relationships, and I think people should audit their friends, audit the people who are around them. And some people, it's like one-sided, and one person takes, and one person gives. And one of Garfield's strongest attributes in our little circle, our inner circle, our community, is that he's always thinking of us. He's always thinking, okay, how can I make this day special? Maybe it's a pop-up, maybe get a gift, a little token. He's literally always trying to think of ways to make you feel valued and to make you feel special. And he does this for his entire group, which is why we're very small, because we are like that. We can't afford to have a very big group. We be broke all the time. But selflessness and being able to put somebody ahead of yourself is another attribute that you have to have if you really want to be a true friend, and that's one of his biggest attributes.
Wow. So you mean there's more than just the two of you? You have like other friends?
Yeah, man. We have a community. We're layered. Yeah, man, but we're layered.
Yeah, man.
So tell us about people outside of this circle of two. How many people are in the circle, the external circle?
And how did about it? Our part of the layer.
It's it's less than 10. Less than 10.
But yeah. I realized when Terri was talking, she was talking about their friends, but I realized that she made reference to them as his friends that have become her friends. Is that how it goes?
Oh yeah. In fact, like I always say, when you get married to somebody, and when I say married to somebody, that it doesn't just mean the person who you marry as a partner. I think when you're gonna take somebody into your personal space, into your yard, into your business, into all of the aspects and areas of your life, you marry them.
Right.
And just like when I hope people would audit, when you're getting married to your partner, you get married to the family. That's just how it is. And so it is an extension of your brand. It's an extension of who you are. So when I marry Garfield, in terms of us being, best of friends, I marry into who his closest friends are. And that has to be something that we can jive on, we can sync on, because if there is if there's an issue there, it can put a strain on our relationship. And it's the same thing for me. So my closest friends have become his friends, and his closest friends have become ours, and everybody respects each other, and we respect our boundaries, even though we are familiar with everyone.
Correct.
So you guys have a very special bond, and you spoke earlier about being able to sit with the person and have the conversation, even the hard conversation. But in any relationship, there are conflicts. And sometimes because the foundation of the friendship is not built on the right foundation, conflict tears apart friendships. How do you guys deal with conflicts?
After you, G.
I don't recall.
You, over to you, Bailey'sville.
I don't recall, and Terri can correct me, but I don't recall us ever having a conflict, to be honest.
The kind of conflicts that Terri and Garfield have is kind of surprise birthday party for me.
Basically.
Pretty much. Yeah.
Basically.
That's it. Yeah, but outside of that, we don't, because we do have our own views and stuff. But again, it's that we have our differences, but it's that shared respect that we have for each other. We're able to say, okay, agreed, but, or I agree with you, or I don't agree. No, this is what I think, and then we mutually say, okay, I see a point, and you take it, you move on. But outside of that, we pretty much, to be honest, we kind of share the same brain sometimes, to the point where tonight we were both in black and white until I was told to change and add a little color to the live. But that's how our brains work. So sometimes, again, people see us step out and we have on the same color. It's not planned, but it's just we're in sync. We are really and truly in sync, and I can honestly say that this is one of the friendships that I think I'll have forever. I'll cherish forever, and it's
well, you better. Wait, so where you think we're going? You ain't going nowhere.
Yes, see, she threatens me like that all the time. So, by the way.
No, I think G is saying is that conflict sometimes comes, I think, because, as he rightfully said, it's the respect, but I think you have to actively listen. And I think what it is that you have to meet people where they are. A lot of times conflict happens because people hold a hard end and they're going to say what they want to say, how they want to say it, when they want to say it. And I think a lot of the times you have to really step back and you have to meet people where they are, and you have to evaluate and understand the role that you play. Because even as friends, we play different roles. Today, I might be his chief financial officer. Tomorrow, he might be my chief financial officer. So as we are switching roles all the time, I think it's important for us to not just respect each other's worldviews, but to meet each other where that person is at that time, and try to be as understanding, but still firm in what you think would be best.
Correct.
Okay. And one of the things I wonder, because the two of you is two rock star, like the two of you is like on your own brand, like, you know, Milo and Horlicks, you know, it's like is the brand.
That's a very lovely brand. Back to you. Thanks.
You're so shameless if you're next to plum. Whatever.
Listen, I'm cooking some chocolate here. So just remember that.
Ross, I got some Kit Kat for you. I'll sort you out. Don't worry.
Feeny, how do you handle that both of you are leading very active lives? You're both your own brands. How does this support work with that? Because Terry, you have a lot on your plate. Feeny, you have a lot on your plate. How do you balance out that you still make time for each other?
Terry?
I think first of all, at the end of the day, other persons view us as very big brands. You know, it's people on the outside who make us the brands that we are. I think, but when we look at each other, we're just seeing the fabric of who we are. I'm seeing Feeny, he's seeing Terri-Karelle. So I think even as we are friends and we fully understand and respect, you know, how we are perceived when it comes to us and how we view each other. Yo, that's my brother. That's my brother. And that's it. And I think it helps to keep us grounded. I think the fact that we also understand what's on our plate, like he will totally know when I am very bogged down. I am less communicative. Maybe we haven't spoken for a while, and he'll be the one to jump on the phone. I'll be very honest. He will be the one to say, hey, what's going on? Why I feel like I don't see you? Why I don't feel it? But there is no hard feelings. There's no she dissed me and she styled me, and because people take things very personally in friendships, and that's what causes a lot of issues. But I think instead what it is just understanding. I will know he has a lot of work, and I'll check in, yo, how you doing? The people that might pay you for all the work where you do, like literally, this is how we talk to each other. So we don't see each other as big brands. We see each other as brother and sister, and we try to touch base when we realize that things are getting extremely heavy, and we support each other as much as possible, because we're actually very private people. Garfield and I, as much as we are seen as big brands, we're both very private. We're both introverts, and so a lot of the times when people see us together, it's because we're there to buffer each other as well in public spaces because of our personalities.
So
correct.
Connect, Garfield, because I mean, I think we all know your personality. We know that you are that warm, loving person that is always extending himself. I mean, even if people don't know you, they get a sense of who you are just from how giving you are all the time, of your time, of your stuff. I mean, even the initiatives that come out of Nestle are birthed from the person that you are. That's the reality. So how do you determine, how do you guard that space against the people that you allow inside? How do you determine? Terry's like,
Gochi, answer the question.
So the question is, how do I know who to let in?
Yeah.
Truth be told, it's certain things like places I go and stuff. You do it based on a recommendation. I sort of like to think that's how I operate my life as well. Because I do have access to a lot of people, or people have access to me a lot, and so I get inundated with questions and requests, and I am very polite, but I normally don't cross that line into friendship unless there's a mutual party, or unless there is continued dialogue that then moves from one this level to a next level and to a next level. But that generally takes a lot of time because I am very guarded. I am, Terri said it a while ago, very private. Like tonight, you guys, lucky I even show inside of my house, showing my space. But come again?
Your house on Instagram when you're working.
Oh, that's true. That's true. But again, that
right in everything that he's doing.
No, he's good.
I never hear you, Catherine.
I reminded Terri that we can see her facial expressions while you're.
Yeah,
listen.
Where I am now, Catherine, to be honest, to answer your question, it has taken me some time to get here because in the past Garfield, I trust easily because of just what I do, and I see the best in people. Again, because I think I use myself and to say whatever I do it with the best of intentions. So I expect the same of people. But I think I've learned a lot of those lessons, high school and university and in the workplace, that not a lot of people are coming from a good place. So I've learned to put up a guard, and I've learned the little things. I'm not going to say what they are now, but the little things that I look for. And if you don't have that quality, family is one of them. Let me just put that on the table. Family is one of them, how you treat your family. And if you don't have that, me and you really can.
I think you've grown tremendously. I think it has grown tremendously because, as you rightfully said, he was the type of person who would readily let people in. I think I personally seen him grow a lot. And again, he will tell you that I'm the watchdog. One of the biggest misconceptions where Garfield and I are concerned is a lot of persons probably look at Garfield and think that he's a snob because he's always dressed, and people tend to say whatever, and so people tend to think that he might be less approachable. Whereas I'm very happy-go-lucky. Oh my gosh, let's give everybody a hug, and everybody thinks that I am the one who's more approachable. We're both approachable, but here's the thing: I am guard city. I am the gatekeeper. If you think he's guarded, just put times 10 when it comes to me. I think he still lets in a lot more people than I ever will. But how we balance off each other is that I'm the person who, if I hear a name or a new name, or maybe somebody whose name I'm hearing a little bit too often, I might be like, so what's the scene? Yeah, because as I tell you, no, ask him. As I tell you, when you marry a friend, you marry who that person talks to. And I am very protective of him. I'm very protective of his space and his energy. He's an empath, so he will absorb everything that somebody goes through. And so I have to be here to kind of say, my spirit, don't take that one, Ask him. My spirit, if you want to do your
I will follow the spirit.
Sure. But he has realized over the time that if I say, something don't mesh well, he usually finds out later on that it wasn't a good one. Yeah. It wasn't a good person.
We have a question from one of our audience members. He has asked, Catherine, you're saying something? He has asked, I'm just trying to find
how has COVID-19 changed the dynamics of the friendship online?
Yeah.
G, you want to take it?
To be honest, the only thing COVID-19 has done with our friendship is the distance. That is it. Nothing else has changed whatsoever. We still check in. We still, I will, even when I can't get out, I will show up at our yard. I am outside. Everything, everything good. Social distance, we have on our mask and everything. If she wants food, I will bring it to her. It really has not changed our relationship. It has not put a strain on our relationship at all. If anything, I think it makes us even stronger because I want to see her more. One of the things it probably it puts a strain on though is we tend to have these sessions where we brainstorm over sushi. We've openly talked about it before. That's where some of our best ideas come out, or some of our life-changing decisions.
Our goals.
Our goals. We aren't able to do that for quite a while now, but we're still working. I mean, we still openly communicate with each other what we wanted, our intentions. So Mark, I honestly wouldn't say that it has put a strain on us in any way, shape, or form. Terri?
Crises, I just think crises actually show you who your allies are. I think, some of us look at, crises are bad. I'm not here to say that they aren't, and I'm not here to say that people are not feeling it. But, when this is all said and done and the smoke clears, a lot of us will have a lot more clarity of who our people are, who our foundation are, who the foundation, people are. Because right now, I spoke to a lovely friend of mine, and she told me that it is in this deepest, darkest time today. She broke down and she said a lot of her friends that she thought were her friends have just kind of
disappeared. Yeah.
And the thing is that everybody going through their thing and everybody trying to cope as well. But if you really do cherish and really love and value that friendship, then it's more important for you to kind of reach out and know how that person is doing.
Correct. I mean, one of the things that I've always seen people say, you check on the persons that are weak, but it's also very good to check on the persons who are normally strong, because they too not only carry their own weight, but they carry the weight of everybody else. And one of the things I must say is that I am absolutely grateful for my tribe, because outside of Terri, every single one of them would have reached out to Mr. Garfield. We see what you're doing. You're all over the place. Are you okay? Do you need anything? Do you need to carry food for you? Do you need money? All of my friends, my inner circle, have reached out and said, anything you need, I am here. And so I have to go on, Terri.
No, finish your point, G.
And so I just have to say that those are some of the things that we need to remember. One of the things I have been living by, that have been helping me to get through this whole COVID situation, and I repeat it to myself every single day: there's good in the mess. In all of this, try to find a silver lining and what good can come of it. And I have been seeing a lot of good. I'm spending a lot more time with the people that I love, the people that I cherish. I'm actually now doing what I love at the foundation, which is making an impact on people. I wasn't able to do this before, to be quite honest, because I was bogged down, whether it's paperwork or plans or meetings. I'm actually now living my best life. And I absolutely love it. And I just want to encourage people to think about it from that perspective and what good can come out of this situation.
And just to even mention the COVID-19, as he speaks about, the friends who check in on him. I remember when, as T was talking, Tamara was saying earlier that she watched and saw how, when COVID crossed borders, that's when she started to double down and she started to prepare. And I remember it must have been like late January, like the last week in January or something. And I was like, it's going to hit our borders. I don't know when. And I remember going into the pharmacy and saying, I'm going to buy masks. And this gentleman started to laugh after me there because he thought I was being very, dramatic and excited. And I took out a box for my mother. I took out a box for myself. I took out a box for my partner's household. And I took out a box for Garfield. You understand? And again, this is what your tribe is supposed to do. I think. There's a box, right? We move from nobody needing masks and only special people needing masks to all of a sudden everybody needs masks. And so I think it's important as you figure out who your tribe is that you understand that what you want for yourself, you're gonna want for your friend. Honestly, if you want to cover yourself and shield up yourself and guard yourself from certain things, you can't do it, but your friend vulnerable. Like that it just don't make any sense to me. And so even as we move out of the season, if you want good for yourself, you have to want good for your friend. It can't be conflicting or contradicting ideologies when it comes to your tribe. So when he wins, I win. If he celebrates, I celebrate. If he gets the house he wants, I feel like I get the house I want. And if we cannot truly celebrate each other, then what's the point?
What's the point?
Terry, your best friend that is in Trinidad.
Yeah, my Chin.
Is there a different dynamic having your girl best friend from having your boy best friend? Like, is the relationship different? Is the dynamic different in any way?
Oh yeah, they're both rooted, and I think it comes back to our core values and who we are as people, why we love the way we do. We have a different kind of relationship, although it's still rooted in the same idea of love and respect. I've known her for much longer. She wears her emotions on her sleeve. She is like a piece of my heart, and she and Garfield have become very good mutual friends as well. So Garfield understands, and it's very different. It's extremely different. But I think what we have to realize is that we have to water our relationships. They are seeds. And if you do not water them, they wither and they die like everything else. And so I have all of these amazing people, and I have to give each of them their own compartment and each of them their own time and value the differences also that makes them very appealing to me. So yeah, Trini is, she's my sister. She's definitely my sister from another mister.
Wow. So guys, since we have you both here, it's time for who is most likely. So we're going to ask you a series of questions. Tell us who is most likely. Catherine, hit it. Question number 1.
Who is most likely to be spontaneous?
Me.
I was going to say both, but I figured that would be a trick. Garfield.
Me.
I was going to say me. Put up your hand so that she can see.
Okay.
Or she can see, but she can't hear. Okay.
Yeah, Garfield. Sure.
To plan a vacation.
Me. Garfield, you can't plan everything, you cannot do everything.
But I have been. I planned the last one.
This is true.
I planned every country trip.
This is true.
Who is most likely to keep malice? Not necessarily between each other, Not necessarily between
Okay, let us define malice. Are we talking about you have realized that this person is not necessarily good for you, is absolutely toxic, and once you've made a decision to move on from this toxicity, thou shalt not return? Because if that is what we're referring to as malice, definitely Terri-Karelle. Definitely.
Who would be the first one to bust a fight for the other one?
Who is what?
The first one to bust a fight for the other person.
Phoebe is like,
yeah, man, I head hot.
Don't come for my friends. Don't come for my family. Don't come for my friends. You're going to have to deal with me. Absolutely.
I think I know the answer to this one too. Who is most likely to show up with food?
That's a tie. Gee, because I like to feed you. I like to feed you.
It's true. And likewise. That's a tie. That's a tie.
Who is most likely to bring the new tribe member into the tribe? We know that one too.
Me, miss.
Who is the one that's most likely to not have money to pay for the food?
Terry, don't want me telling people when you used to lose their wallet every week.
First of all,
You used to lose your purse every single week. Those
right, so what we're not going to do is we're not going to talk about those moments of impropriety. What we're going to talk about is the fact that it's actually a tie, you know, we always take up the tab. We always fight to take the tab from each other. In all honesty, I did use the purse a lot, but sometimes you leave the whole without your wallet. Let's not do our dirty laundry. That's a tie.
But I leave home without it. You lose yours.
All together.
Okay, guys. For our first conference on air, okay?
So you guys, so before we leave, because you guys, like, we could just be here till tomorrow.
Yes.
I want you to leave our audience with, because your friendship is, there's something that's so raw and pure about it. I always call Uno honey, because it is just, as you see it there, we just love one another. No strings attached. And many persons don't understand what that feels like. That pure, raw love where somebody have your back and you don't have to even look behind you. So you're gone up the hill, you don't have to say, yeah, come, then run past you.
Yeah.
One of the things I'd love to know is, I know you guys have had some unforgettable moments together, but you know, in friendships, there are some things that, like, every time you think about it, you just like, you all have to turn away, you have to say.
Wow.
Feeny, you tell me about one. Terry, you tell us about one.
Go, Feeny, you go first.
Actually, funny enough, guy, I don't know if I can show you my phone. I have one of those moments on my phone right here.
Do I look like a hot mess? Let me just ask.
I looked at it today. I don't remember where it is now. It was a trip that we took to Negril. Is there? Wait.
First of all, you're not in the. Oh Lord, oh Jesus.
Right there. Remember this, Terry?
Oh my gosh, yes. We did get flood out. Listen, we go to the people them place in the grill and we get flood out, and my Kentucky fried chicken get taken up with ants. That one.
We buy fruits to the people. Yeah, man. Margaritaville, all type Italian cafe, all type of things. That was one of our fun. It was one of our random hey, road trip, let's go here and just do random stuff. And it was just unforgettable to this day. We look back at that moment and we just stayed at this little place, just like a hole in the wall, and we had the best time, best memories.
Wow. All right, you did a best. Gosh, we have so many. I think one of the most memorable ones for me would be a transition. It was a transition that one of us had to make, and I think sometimes you have to carry somebody in your friendship. You know, we speak about being carried by God sometimes, where you just don't have the strength. And I think it will go down as one of the biggest ones for me, simply because it meant a lot. It meant absolutely a lot. And to say, oh, he's trying to figure out, you don't even know the transition me at that point. But it's okay. It's okay. One of us was going through a transition and one was carried by another, literally. And then how the other person decided to show the appreciation was just absolutely ridiculous. But we're not going to talk about it. I think what it is we've been through every high and low as friends that anyone can ever think of. Not that we have had it, but we haven't had any conflicts, but we've literally witnessed ourselves transition through a lot of things, and people wouldn't know. We don't miss a beat, and that's because we carry each other in those times that we have to carry each other. And we do it with a sense of pride, and we do it with a sense of obligation, not because we can't do no better, but because it's the right thing. It's absolutely the right thing to do. And as he knows, I love him with all my heart, and we'll go to the moon and back, and we'll go back again. And at any point in his life, he does not have to wonder if I will be there. I will already have my bags packed, key ready, car ready to go wherever it is we need to go.
They're a dangerous combination, The car that I have now is because of these two. They were night, and they were telling me all of the road trips that we were going to take and why it would be the ideal car, and I need to buy a car. Be very careful of them, okay? Very careful of
I
them.
never get to on the grill, hush.
And them never even invite me to the grill.
First of all, we are too spontaneous for Catherine. We will just get up and jump in our car and go without, Terry will go without panty, toothbrush, me without any tent. We just go.
No, I don't.
And we figure it out. We stop at a gas station and we say, listen, you have any toothbrush or anything? We just go. Catherine, no.
Planner.
I have a meeting, and this and but I have a conference tomorrow.
Right. But before we go, by the way, Kathy, because I had mentioned it to Naomi in just a random conversation, is we don't want people to feel like your tribe is literally, may I use your laptop, please? Yes, you may, Naima. We don't want people to feel like your tribe is only your inner circle. I think it's also very important to have persons who you trust and you respect and you admire who are in your outer circles. So I don't want people to feel like if they don't have this ride or die one person that you don't have a tribe. I think it's very important for us to just mention before we go that you have your inner circle, but I know I can pull on Kathy. I know I can pull on Naomi. I can pull on Carlette. There are persons who may not be in my immediate circle who I can still trust, and I can still be like, okay, I can go to these guys for advice. So
person from Instafam.
Absolutely. So there are people who occupy different roles, and it's not always going to be immediate, depending on what you're going through at the time too. You have to look for mentorship, you have to look for experience, and sometimes you're not going to get that in your inner circle. So it's important for you to establish meaningful relationships outside of your circle as well, because then that allows you to grow and brings in different perspectives that maybe is not even present in your inner circle.
All right.
Yeah. And I think it's important that we make sure that people understand that you have to be able to add value to the people that you're trying to extract value from.
Yes.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Can't believe you come for the people that think talk about my panty and toothpick. Well, watch me, are you?
So guys, everybody, I'm telling you, people are commenting. Garfine is hilarious. Terry is like the favorite Miss Jamaica ever born. I know we can't just leave raps like that. Can you? So let me start with Garfine and then we wrap up with Terry. Just any final words that you want to leave with our viewers on this concept of tribe. Terry, I like where you went a while ago with the mentors and coaches, that all of us will not have a feeling, but it doesn't mean our tribe. We have different types of tribe. So sometimes people think they don't have a feeling, so then say, "We're gonna have nobody." But yeah, you have a sister, you have a family. You have some other people. So can you just let's start with you because you're younger and you come from Bailey's.
Thank you. Where Mary come from? Yeah.
That is why I should draw for you.
We gotta stick together, okay? What I also want to tell people is that one of the very important things about Terry and I's friendship is that it comes from a place of no judgment. It comes from a place of just us being authentic. We're our authentic selves. What you see is what you get. So we see on Instagram sometimes, we have had people come up to us and look up to us and like, oh my God, you guys are the same as we see on Instagram. That's because that's just us. We're living our best lives all the time. So what I would just tell people is that just be authentic, just be you, and you will naturally kind of get that tribe, as well as leave the judgment. Come out of people's relationships. We have seen it a lot on our pages. People come and talk about, they try to put us in a box or friendship in a box. Oh, get married or do this, be a girlfriend. Leave people in their relationships alone. And people come and say that, oh, like they can't, like a male and a female can't be best friends because it has to be something sexual there or all type of things. Just operate from a place of love, and again, mutual respect and honesty and communication, and let it just fall where they may. Be genuine and authentic, as Janelle just said. That's what we are, and that's why we are able to thrive like this, and people are able to, I guess, get that energy from us. So that's my 2 cents.
So after you done say all of that, now when me left for say, and that me you want to know.
I love you.
What I would say is, I think what you put in is what you get. Your vibe attracts your tribe. A lot of folks wonder why, we only have toxic relationships, or sometimes, why we just can't seem to hold on to meaningful relationships. Your vibe attracts your tribe. And I think, we put a lot into it. A lot of people tell us, oh, you guys are amazing. I want what you have. Understand what you're asking for. You're asking for an unconditional relationship. And so it may look easy, but it is something that we have to work on every single day. It's a conscious effort to love this person regardless of what is going on. And I'm just fortunate enough to have a friend like Garfield who makes it very easy, to tell you the truth. He makes it extremely easy. And we're going to go from strength. We're going to go from strength to strength. And we'll be in our rocking chairs and we'll be enjoying our life. And again, his victory is my victory and his win is my win. And if you can't honestly love and feel that for your tribe, then they're really not your tribe and you don't deserve to be in a tribe like that. So what you give is certainly what you get. Give value and you will get value.
Amen.
Wow.
Amen.
Janice is asking for a Kit Kat.
Oh, Jesus.
No, Janice.
When I come that side, Jan,
We're going to send it along a bit. And Janice's birthday is next week.
yes, yes, she's a Taurian. She's a week before me.
Lord.
So, listen, Jennifer says, I totally agree. I got the same comments about my male best friend. That's my ride or die from age 8 to 29. You guys are such an amazing inspiration. I mean, we could talk to you forever. And then a good looking too, like when I find two good looking people to be friends with. That's so hard.
Good. Thanks, Rush. Thanks.
That means him doesn't keep ugly friends. God says he does not keep ugly friends. That's what he
All the time. He says it all the time, for true.
all the time.
True.
They find me. I mean, somebody actually asked me today, how does it feel to be friends with all these Miss Jamaicas and having one as my best friend? And I'm just like, I just see people.
No, first of all, you need to tell them that you only have one friend, one Miss Jamaica world friend, and everybody else is associates. That is what I'm just joking.
I want you to see just today at 6:52 p.m. say him only have good looking people with clean hearts right as him friend.
That's true. But that's true. I'm not hide on top. It's true. Stand by my word.
Terry, by the way, Nicole says that you're on her vision board.
Oh, wow. As a what? I just want to make sure I'm not like Maleficent or something. Like, a dream, Nicole, thank you, my darling. Oh, and I have to say that I have to big up my junkers. Like, you need to understand that we've coined this phrase junkro, which isn't something that we normally use as Jamaicans for something uplifting. And a lot of persons, not a lot, but some people be like, you guys use junkers. And we go out and people will say, Terry, I'm one of the junkers, and you're a woman junkro. And I just want to take the opportunity to big up my junkers, big up my Insta family, because I have a supportive, amazing online community ever. And I always have to remind people that junkros really, what they do is they clean up. They restore.
Or the ecosystem. Yeah.
That's what they do. And so we look at each other, and even though we use the term junko with each other, we actually do with a lot of love, and my online community has adopted it, and we greet each other besties and junkros in the streets.
Yep.
So big up.
You guys are awesome. I forget the Junkro wing. Junkro.
Thanks for having us, though. Thank you so very
Yeah,
much.
thanks for the invitation, guys. This was I don't like lives, but again, I think this topic is something I couldn't shy away from because I think it's very important, especially in this time. It's very important. So thank you so much for having us.
And I said to Terry, Terry, can you do a live with us next week Wednesday? Garfield already said yes.
I'm like, how can I say no? Once he said yes, I mean, clearly it's like, okay.
I know, me never say yes yet. Me tell her the message of me say, Kat is a trickster, but we love her. I think I said something like a maybe or something like that with some condition.
Nope.
Tricks of that man. But thank you for having us, and thank you for celebrating our friendship and our love. You know, we really do appreciate it, and we appreciate the fact that persons see it and they see it as something to emulate and to find, whether it's a male bestie, whether it's a female bestie, it really doesn't matter as long as the person really has your best welfare, he has your best interest at heart.
Correct.
Thank you, guys.
Thank you, guys.
Love you.
Appreciate it. Love you all.
Bye, Garfield.
Bye, Terri.
Bye, guys.
Nice. Did she leave us?
I think Nai is not feeling so well tonight. She's been baking a lot. I think all of the baking has taken a toll on her. And she'll go on good with the baking, you know. I tell her she'll really go on good. Kathy, it's our book club time. It's our book club time. We're running out of time. No, we love this book. What was our book?
The 4 Agreements. And so we're going to just breeze through the 4 agreements. The first one was be impeccable with our word. And a lot of actually the 4 agreements tie back into some of the pointers
our conversation today.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
So it is be impeccable with our word, speak with integrity. And it really boils down to say what you mean and mean what you say. Don't take anything personally. So we need to just look at things for what it is and try to find the truth in it. Is there a truth to what it is that the person is saying? Don't be so ready to take offense, right?
Mm-hmm.
Do not make assumptions. Now, I think this is something that we learn from we're young. What does assume mean? It means that you make an ass of you and me. So don't make assumptions. Find the courage to ask questions, right? Figure out what you don't know by asking questions. Don't assume.
Mm-hmm.
Always do your best. And this is something that we preach. You know, living in excellence just means always giving of your best. Always put your best foot forward. If you give up your best, then that's the best that we can do. That's all we can do. And so, these are the 4 things that Terry's a big book girl. I'm sure she has read this book. So be impeccable with your word. Don't take everything personally. Do not make assumptions and always give of our best.
Even during COVID, and these agreements with yourself are even more relevant in this time, because always doing your best, you do your best with your best that you can do at this time. Yeah. But you still go hard. You still go hard with whatever you have. Yeah. Kathy, I know. So hold on. Nick Max is on Kitchen Spice, Allspice, and Mixed Spice. Hi, Simone. Hi, Carlette. Catherine, I know you've made notes because you're a nerd. So over to you. Can you wrap up? Let's wrap up for
absolutely. So Tamara reminded us that we need to find the time to be still, tap into ourselves and diversify. We need to spend the time to be still to figure out what our purpose is. And whether we're in or outside of our purpose, now is a perfect time for us to be still. Mm-hmm. Now is a time for us to spend some time with ourselves and do some introspection and figure out where we are and where we want to go. Our NCB family reminded us that we need to set a plan. We need to set a plan and differentiate between what we need and what we want, right? And they reminded us back to the thing in our 4 agreements about not making assumptions. Ask questions, call your banking people, call your institutions, find out from them what are some of the things that they have in place that can help us through the COVID time? What are some of the things that we can access now? What are some of the holidays, the payment holidays that we can get? But don't assume, ask questions. Don't sit and feel like you're in despair when you have professionals that are willing to help us, right? Now is the time to think about investing wisely and think about how we spend our money. If we know that we can only have money to buy food, then we're not spending the money to buy stocks. We're spending the money to take care of our family. So we need to be wise. And Terri and Garfield were just like such a huge wealth of pouring out. You know, it is audit the people that we have in our lives. Very important. The foundation of relationships, honesty, trust, the ability to be selfless, and to tell people what they need to hear and not necessarily what they want to hear. Communication and respect is key. Garfield reminded us that we need to check in on the people that we think are the strong ones. I was talking to my girlfriend today, and she's a powerhouse, right? And she said to me, look, I went through depression last week. I live by myself. I'm in total isolation, and I just needed that check-in, that time to know that people actually care. So the people that we think are the strong ones, take the time to check in with them right now. Right? We need to be authentic. We need to be non-judgmental. We need to be cautious of who we let into our space. And we need to be very conscious of the fact that we need to intentionally love each other daily. Our relationships take effort. And we need to always operate from a place of love. We have to always be willing to celebrate each other. And this one, we have to leave with this one. Your vibe attracts your tribe. And I think if nothing else, we can take that away from today. Who we are is what we attract.
Yeah.
Right? What's our book for next week?
Simone actually added also give value and get value, because Catherine, you always say that.
Yes.
Yeah. Catherine, you're good though, you know. Janice just acknowledged that you're amazing at this wrap. You're good. You're real good, Catherine. So next week, one of our favorite books, because we some Brené Brown. So next week we're going to be talking about the book Daring Greatly. Remember, I mentioned a couple of weeks ago there's an app called Blinkist that summarizes. So something you don't have the time to read the whole book. Read 10 minutes of Blinkist. Brené Brown also has a TED Talk that goes through Daring Greatly, which is a lot about vulnerability. Yeah. And a fantastic TED Talk. In fact, I watched the TED Talk, and that's what caused me to read her book. I just came upon the TED Talk. So remember, no judgment. However, it is best for you to read, for you to get this knowledge. If it is a snippet, get the audiobook. If audiobooks are easier for you, get Blinkist. Is like the Cliff Notes of big books, or watch the TED Talk. But no judgment. We just want you to join in the conversation with us. And next week, we're going to spend a little time talking about Daring Greatly, because this is truly a time of vulnerability for all of us. And we want to really get into it a little bit more. Yeah, so look on our page. We have an exciting guest for next week. So follow our page. What's our page, Kathy?
Ready to Emerge. So facebook.com/Ready to Emerge, Instagram Ready to Emerge, all our platforms is Ready to Emerge, and we'll post the TED Talk for Daring Greatly on our page so you guys can watch it and access it.
Yeah. And you're wondering, all of Nai's fans are wondering where Nai is. So she was on earlier in her role as Rude Girl Spice, but she's not feeling so well. And that's what happens when you're on a team. Just to leave you with this, as we talked with Garfield and Terri earlier, there's this thing, the wisdom of geese. So, you know, geese fly in this V formation, and they actually fly like that for a purpose, because they support each other. So the strongest one actually is in front. So what happens is, if one of them gets sick or gets lame, two of them actually come out of the formation, and somebody else goes to the top of the formation, and two of them go with the one that is not well. And they stay with that one until that one is ready to join the formation, and they get back into that V shape. And that's how it is too with our friendships, that we have to be willing to, when needs be, to step back from what we are doing and what we're involved in to sometimes to be at the side of our friends. We have to know when somebody else needs to lead. We have to know when we need to lead. And we just keep that formation going because we're all at different points in our life at different times. And we just need to recognize when you have to be the strong one and when you need to bawl out, help me. Yeah. So thank you guys so much for joining us, and we look forward to emerging with you next week, Wednesday, same time right here.
Yes. Bye, guys. Have a great rest of your week.